Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Davidson. All right, story time. Hope you guys are enjoying the Chronicles of Davidson, chapter 3. So, I'm gonna share with you my takeaways for the rest of my high school days and on to college. Woo woo. So in high school, it was cool. Like I had fun. I would say one of the biggest things that I remembered was that I always felt like poorer than everyone because I lived in these like crappy apartments and bless like my mom, um, bless my dad. Like obviously, they did what's they would always tell us like, dude, you're so lucky. You have no idea. Like this is way better than Vietnam. But I always compared myself to my friends that actually owned a house. To this day, we've never owned a house ever. Um, and for the most part I was living in the in the living room with my sisters. So we had a bunk bed. My two sisters lived on the bottom, and then I lived on the top bunk. And I just remember just feeling like very poor. Like just now that I'm older, like I see that I love my parents, and like I want what's best for them. But I just remember like I always wanted to like escape um my home. It was weird like thinking back at it, but I do think teenagers, like, we have this like rebellious nature in ourselves. um but I remember like the three friends like I was the closest with is this guy named Mike Ligori, who he invited me to his wedding, and it actually like really opened up my heart because we actually haven't really spoken in a while. Like I would hit him up every now and then, but I would have sleepovers, slumber parties at his place all the time with me and him. We would just like go bowling alley. We play DDR together. We play a lot of StarCraft, and we were like huge gamers. Like we played a lot of StarCraft. We would play like online tournaments. Like honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we logged in over 1,000 hours. Like it was like thousands of hours, like weekends, nights, like just crushing it. And I was actually really good at it. I think that's probably why. And then there was a guy named Steve and a guy named Kevin, and I had a really actually like a really bad falling out with them. And you know, looking back at it, I think I was kind of like I had a lot of different friend groups, and I think it was just due to the lack of communication. I want to take full responsibility that I was not communicating because I was always afraid of conflict. But I remember mm, I don't want to mention names because this is like a long time ago, but I remember like my other good friend, I think, oh, okay, I think now I remember what happened. I had like a pretty scarcity mindset, and I was like, I'm buying. And then like I think my friends who had season tickets, like they were just like, yeah, money's like whatever, so we're just gonna leave. And I was like, dude, like, no, if I bought a ticket, like I'm gonna stay the whole time, because for me, like the ticket dollar of a Six Flags ticket was like a lot of money, like for a poor kid who like gets free lunch, like that was a lot. But I remember like other friends were coming later, so I decided to like stay with them. And then my first group of friends who I came with just left, and I think like I don't know what drama happened, but essentially after that, like I kind of stopped hanging out with my old friend group, and then yeah, so that was interesting. But anyways, so high school, if I was to summarize it, I would say a lot of like we did a lot of like fun, stupid stuff. Like I felt really close to Rick, who I call him Diaper Buddy, who we still hang out today. Was at his wedding, and I love hanging out with him and Hannah. So happy for him that he's married now. And then Schumann, who I lived with for a little bit. And oh yeah. So anyways, and the other two friends I was like really, really close to was Dan Jones. And we played a lot of video games. Watched, like, he was really nice. Like he is really nice. Like him and Mrs. and Mr. Jones and Steve, like we would show at his share house in Margate. Like that was really cool. They pretty much like adopted me like another son. I think I even bought when I went to Rutgers. I bought his parents like Rutgers like hats or something like that. But I just remember like really really like appreciate you guys, and thanks for everything. And so between him and Mike, and I was like pretty close to Steve and Kevin as well. Like I would say I would spend 90% of my time outside of home. Like I really wasn't home like that much at all, you know. Um, so, and I remember like I used to write poems in this website called Zanga. Shout out, like, yo, let me know if you guys have used Zanga too. Zanga was a shit. But I remember I wrote like a poem about Starburst, and it was like about this girl I dated, and I remember just like being really really corny, but I was like really like I use AIM a lot, AOL Instant Messenger, and I always had like sleepless nights. You know, I'm not sure why, but I was never like a big sleeper. I'm not sure if it's because of like a lot of the trauma I had from high school and stuff like that, but that could be one of the chapters, trauma and forgiveness. Writing this bad boy down. So, all right. So, yeah, I went to. I remember like the Eagles. Dan Jones had a Super Bowl game, and the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, and we freaking lost to the Patriots. Broke my heart, man. Donovan McNabb. But little do we know, we come back with a vengeance eventually, much, much later on in life. Um, so yeah, I would say some of the teachers that have resonated, like I've I went through the stage at one point, going through like Landmark, the self-development program, where I reached out to all my previous teachers and told them like how much they meant to me and like thank you for teaching me. So I reached out to the teachers, and I thought that was a pretty nice gesture. Like that was really cool. I'm sure they appreciate it when students do that. But I was in choir. Miss Bass was like such an amazing choir teacher. Um, I remember like one of my favorite classes in high school was this guy named Mr. Sweeten. It was called Planetary Exploration, and that really piqued my curiosity. I was always like a huge science nerd. Like I would like really like read a ton of dinosaur books, earth books, like all this type of stuff. And it's interesting to see how that's coming back. Like there were always like areas in my life where I was always very curious. Going back to now how doing my podcast, like my curiosity leads me to interviewing more people, learning new things and more things. So it's definitely a really good personality trait that I'm very curious. So all right, stay tuned for episode 3. Wait, was that episode 3? Yeah. Let me know what you guys think of this so far.